There are many disappearances that still make you think, what happened to this person? The disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains to be one of those cases that holds a lot of attention in the true crime world. 19 years after Jennifer went missing in Central Florida, the details and speculation on her case continues to fascinate me. Who was she? Jennifer Kesse was a 24-year-old financial analyst living in Orlando, Florida. She had blonde hair and blue eyes. She stood at 5'8" at 125 pounds. On January 24th, 2006, Jennifer failed to show up for work. A coworker from her place of employment, Central Florida Investments timeshare company, contacted Jennifer's parents and reported that she didn't appear for work. Without hesitation, Drew and Joyce Kesse raced onto the highway from their home in Bradenton to Orlando, where Jennifer lived 2 hours away, at the newly renovated Mosaic at Millennia condominiums. In the meantime, her boyfriend Rob placed phone calls and text messages to her cell phone on this Tuesday morning. He too knew something was wrong if his beloved girlfriend wasn't replying back. The Kesses would finally arrive on the property where Jennifer lived for only 2 months at that point, early afternoon. Plenty of important, valuable time passed in the interim because only 1 mile away at noontime approximately at the Huntington on the Green apartment complex, a person quietly parked Jennifer's black Chevy Malibu and walked off into obscurity. The authorities were eventually contacted by a woman residing in the complex 2 days later on Thursday. She saw a news clip of Jennifer's case and recognized the bolo for her car as that of a similar vehicle occupying the parking lot. CCTV footage taken from the property shows an unidentified person, most likely a man, parking the Malibu near the entrance and walking past the gated pool structure. The quality really isn't that superior, especially for 2006. To this day, Jennifer Kesse has not been located. Here's the important details of her disappearance. Physical evidence that remains missing is her purse, iPod, cell phone, and house keys. The Mosaic at Millennia was still under construction at the time of Jennifer disappearing. She was one of a few tenants occupying units in this property. During this period of her life, her boyfriend Rob lived in Fort Lauderdale, which is 3 hours south from Orlando. In the previous week, Jen and Rob vacationed to the Caribbean island of St. Croix. They arrived back in Florida on Sunday, January 22nd. The next day, Jennifer reported to work without a hitch. She communicated with her parents and boyfriend on Monday. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary or suspicious. Looking at the timeline, Jennifer was intercepted between the time of her final phone call with Rob at 10 p.m. on Monday and sometime before noon on Tuesday. The circumstances of how this crime in action unfolded remains a mystery. Did an assailant enter Jennifer's unit into the late hours of January 23rd? Did Jennifer briefly exit her home after 10 p.m.? Based on her typical routine, her loved ones disagree that she would leave for any errand, especially at that time. Did Jennifer get compromised on her way to work Monday morning on January 24th? We can mostly disagree that Jennifer wanted to intentionally vanish and walk away from her life. Loved ones say she was doing great. In the words of Drew Kesse, she was Miss Independent. She received promotions at work. She was in a serious but long-distance relationship. Her mental health seemed perfectly fine. Suicide seems out of the picture. Was Jennifer accidentally harmed and subsequently died? Was she initially the victim of a sexual assault and things escalated to her death? Perhaps, but my belief has always been a major case of foul play, considering that she was living in a condominium with ongoing construction. There haven't been any reports of witnesses who saw Jennifer exit downstairs to her car. The lack of visibility or few tenants around likely aided in this crime to go much smoother than it did. Close to a decade now, I have seen the case of Jennifer Kesse play out in real time. A number of news magazine programs, podcasts, and more have done their own deep dives. As a resident-born Floridian myself, I actually wasn't aware of her investigation until 2016. For whatever reason, it did not come to my periphery despite hearing about other horrible crimes surrounding the state, like that of the murder of Jessica Lunsford, Kaylee Anthony, or the disappearances of Tammy Lynn Leppert, Terrence Williams, and Felipe Santos. There are so many. Jennifer's disappearance is perplexing for many reasons. Last week, I visited Orlando, and I made a couple of stops at the structures that are integral to her disappearance: the Mosaic at Millennia and the Huntington on the Green. These are my observations of being on site. As I had stated, I visited the Mosaic at Millennia condominium. I was only able to get through the entrance. There's unfortunately a security post and many gates. I'm not going to enter the premises, but as you can see, it's a very large structure, beautiful apartments, obviously on the wealthier side of town. The Mosaic is near the Mall of Millennia, and if you've driven by there, it's pretty upscale. And from what I'm aware, the site looked different compared to 20 years ago when it was still under construction. From what I hear, there might have been a security guard, but obviously with the renovations going on, things appeared very different. And so access into the premises was probably less tighter than it is today. 1 mile away, I got to visit the Huntington on the Green apartments where Jennifer's Chevy Malibu was dumped. There is CCTV footage of the suspect parking the car and then walking past the gated pool entrance. If you've seen that footage, it's pretty weak, but for me, it gave me the creeps the first time I watched it. I was able to enter the apartment. There was an alleyway where you could cut through and it would lead you directly to that pool entrance. As you can see, we are on the site of Jennifer Kesse's case. This is where her car was dropped off on the day that she presumably went missing. And it's roughly 1 mile away from her condo. This is the pool area. And right here where this car is parked, the red one, is where I believe the black car that she owned was dumped. The suspect walking past this pool where it's gated. So he walked all through this and has never been identified to this day, almost 20 years later. So yeah, this is the site of Jennifer's case. Earlier, we tried entering the condo, but it is gated, there's security, and we didn't want to risk entering and getting in trouble. invading someone's property. But from what we saw, it's a very nice location. Back in 2006, when Jennifer was living there, it was actually under construction. So she was one of the few tenants that actually lived there. And there are rumors that, she felt uncomfortable there. The maintenance workers, as far as I know, these are the two primary locations regarding the case. I was thinking about checking out the place where she works, but it's somewhere out off in the city, not here. She worked in finance, and she had only been living in the condo for a few months. Her case has been on multiple crime shows, 48 Hours, multiple podcasts. So it's really surreal to be on the site of this case. As you can see, if you go through that way, that's where we went through the side that goes through the pool where the suspect dumped her car. So from what you saw in my clip of being on site, there was easy access. I do remember seeing a neighbor lady peering through the windows with no blinds, and it was kind of creepy. I didn't want to cause a commotion or anything, so I walked the entrance with my partner, because this is something I've never done before, and just being on site made it more surreal. You see the pool and the apartments, how they look like. It's all very surreal. And as I said earlier, this apartment is on the rougher side of town. Directly in front of it is Americana Plaza. And you can tell this is run down. Those parts I wouldn't want to find myself at, to be honest. And even a little bit after, I stopped by for gas, and it had been a structure that I've never been before, where it was tied to other businesses. It does look rougher on site, and then you go a mile the opposite way, and it's much nicer, it's wealthier, and you definitely get that aspect from the mosaic at Millennia. Whatever happened to Jennifer Kesse is a major mystery. Lots has unfolded in the last 19 years, and I felt like now was a good time to, go over the case, and especially having the opportunity to visit the sites. So in the meantime, I might be planning some more videos on Jennifer, but for now, this is what I wanted to put out there for people interested from the true crime community. Thank you for watching.